but I mean, that is the final frontier because it's the last step of his build, right? It's getting it in the dirt.
The final frontier.
James Holguin's been a friend of mine for years and years. He's a crucial part to the off-road industry, and I think just the community, not like the industry, but just the lifestyle community of off-road. And this is his Frontier. So again, best thing to do with this is to kind of chunk it out, tell you what this thing is, and just the features and the layout, and then I will kind of cover the details. But why I want to start this now is for the last crunch of this thing. We have about a month of work to put into it, and then it's going to go get wired and plumbed. And it's a really big step in the right direction because this thing has been going on for 8 to 10 years, different shops, all kinds of just shit. So layout, Nissan Frontier, I don't know the year, maybe early 2000s. Tube chassis, Moore's Metalworks chassis, big Chrisman rear end, ODR, third member, medium shock package, 2.5 coilovers, 3-inch bypasses, 2-inch bump stops, same front end as pre-ran Dan's Ranger or F-150 or whatever it is now. Big JMAR hubs, trophy truck, lug pattern, 40s. It'll be on Toyos and Methods. These are just my shop mock-up wheels. Michael Cox Racing Development LS, based off like, I think it's the 6-liter truck motor. Colhane Trans 4L80. 4-seater, let's not call it a true 4-seater. It's a 4-seater, but the rear seats are really for just, you know, kids or just people that are cramming in there to go from one camp to another camp, not where you're jamming. This will have a removable windshield. I'd like to cover that separately. And I think I'll probably do a how-to on this just because this is a great thing to have for like a trailered pre-runner or something that's not just a daily driver where you're not like fully sealed. But it's got a lot of cool features, you know, full sheet metal. The history with this, you know, on my end, James has kind of, you know, he's had this truck from the beginning and it's got a huge story to it, but, you know, he transitioned to it being a full tube chassis and, you know, it's been to a couple different shops and it's just been dragging out. And, you know, I got into this position now where I own my own company and I work for myself and, you know, I told him I can facilitate finishing this truck at my shop. And it's been stashed over in the back and we've been doing what we can to make progress on it over the last year. And I can't work on it full time. So I get to it when I can or have one of my guys get to it. But we're like at this last stage now where I'm gonna power into it. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna button everything up, weld everything, tab everything, just every single little odds and ends will be gone through now. And, you know, it'll be ready for wiring and plumbing. The main thing here is I'm gonna send this thing off raw. I'm not gonna paint it or powder coat it yet. I want it to go and get wired and plumbed, and any little hiccup where they need to make a hole or something needs to be tabbed, I don't feel 100% on, you know, that we've nailed like all the accessories. And even if we have, I wanna make sure that there's room before we powder coat the whole chassis because powder coat is a process. It's, you know, it's baked, it's electronically charged when it's put on. And it's something where if you just sand it off, you can't just touch it up with paint. It's not the same, it's thick. And it's you know, it's a process. So I'd rather ship this thing off raw and have it be a running, driving truck, and then we get it back. We strip the whole thing down. We put new hardware in it. We powder coat all the suspension. We powder coat the entire chassis, and we document that. And then we put the harness back in, we put all the plumbing back in, and we final assemble it. And I'll feel really comfortable doing that. We'll be able to go out and document the testing of this thing, firing up for the first time, you know, everything. Right now, this is just the intro to this thing and the last crunch. So if you guys go onto the Terra Crew channel, you can watch the build series and the updates up to this point. And you know, now I'm going to take this into my own hands, and I'm going to document these last steps of really, you know, behind the scenes. You know, James comes out, or Terra Crew comes out and films, you know, every other week or so when we have big updates. And now this last crunch is going to be much more hands-on, where I'm going to, you know, be interactive and showing, you know, the finalization of the chassis and the finish work that we do on this thing from here on out. Again, if you guys have comments or questions on this thing, or anything for that matter, and you say, hey, you know, I saw this in there and I'd really like to know more about it, or, you know, how did you build this, or how did you go about this, just let me know, and I'll do the best I can to cover things. So enjoy, and thank you.